When people hear the words intelligence or national security, they often imagine secrecy, dramatic operations, or hidden agencies acting in isolation. In reality, intelligence and national security in the UK are mostly about routine assessment, coordination, and risk management carried out every day, largely out of public view. The purpose of this system is not constant action, it is constant understanding. Understanding what is happening, understanding what might happen, and understanding what matters enough to act on. This video explains how intelligence, threat assessment, and national security systems actually work in the UK, focusing on structure, process, and decision-making rather than individual operations. It explains how information becomes intelligence, how threats are assessed, how priorities are set, and how action is coordinated across government, law enforcement, the military, regulators, and critical infrastructure operators. National security in the UK is not owned by a single organisation. It is a distributed system. Responsibility is shared across intelligence agencies, police forces, government departments, regulators, and private sector partners. Each part of the system sees a different slice of reality. No single organisation sees everything. The system works because those slices are combined, challenged, and reassessed continuously. At the foundation of national security is information. Information comes from many sources. Some sources are human, some are technical, some are open and public, some are restricted or classified. Most information collected by the state is not secret. It includes reports, statistics, sensor data, transaction records, travel movements, communications metadata, and public reporting. On its own, information has little value. Its value comes from context, from comparison, from pattern, from time. Intelligence is the process of turning large volumes of information into assessments that support decisions. This process is structured, it is disciplined, and it is deliberately cautious. UK intelligence culture places heavy emphasis on assessment rather than certainty. Judgments are expressed in terms of likelihood and confidence. Analysts are expected to explain not just what they think, but why they think it, and what assumptions underpin that view. This approach exists because intelligence is used to justify serious decisions that affect liberty, security, diplomacy, and sometimes life and death. The UK intelligence system includes several core organisations. Some focus on overseas intelligence, some focus on domestic security, some focus on signals and cyber, some focus on assessment and coordination. Each has a defined remit. None operates independently of oversight. Information flows into these organisations from multiple directions: foreign intelligence services, law enforcement investigations, border systems, cyber monitoring, financial intelligence, open source material. Much of this information is fragmentary. It may be incomplete. It may be contradictory. It may be misleading. Analysts spend much of their time resolving uncertainty rather than producing answers. Threat assessment is the process of evaluating whether observed activity represents risk. Risk is not defined solely by intent. It is defined by capability, opportunity, and potential impact. An actor with hostile intent but limited capability may be less dangerous than one with ambiguous intent but significant access. This is why threat assessment is dynamic. Assessments change as circumstances change. The UK uses structured threat levels to communicate risk. These levels are not predictions, they are indicators of current assessment. They guide posture, resource allocation, and readiness. They are reviewed constantly. Raising or lowering a threat level is a serious decision. It has operational, economic, and social consequences. For example, a higher terrorism threat level affects policing posture, armed patrols, and public messaging. A lower level may allow resources to be redirected elsewhere. Threat levels are informed by intelligence, but they are not set by a single agency. They are the result of collective judgment. National security decisions are made through coordination. Information is shared through secure channels. Assessments are discussed. Alternative interpretations are challenged. Senior officials weigh evidence alongside policy and legal constraints. This process is deliberately slower than the pace of news cycles. Speed without understanding increases risk. Domestic security relies heavily on cooperation between intelligence agencies and police. Police forces encounter threats through routine activity: community policing, criminal investigations, public reporting. Intelligence agencies provide context, pattern recognition, and strategic assessment. Neither can operate effectively alone. This partnership is formalized but also cultural. Trust matters. Information sharing depends on confidence that information will be used proportionately and lawfully. Legal frameworks govern how intelligence can be collected and used. Surveillance powers are defined in law. Authorizations are required. Oversight bodies review activity. These constraints are not obstacles. They are part of system design. They ensure legitimacy. Without legitimacy, intelligence loses value. Border systems are a critical part of national security. They are not just about immigration. They are about awareness: who is entering, who is leaving, patterns of movement, risk indicators. Border data feeds threat assessment. It supports law enforcement. It supports intelligence analysis. Decisions at the border are often automated but not autonomous. Technology flags cases. Humans decide outcomes. Financial intelligence plays a central role in modern security. Money moves faster than people. Tracking financial flows reveals networks. Unusual transactions can indicate criminal activity, terrorism financing, or state influence operations. Banks and financial institutions are part of the security system. They monitor activity. They report concerns. Regulators enforce compliance. This public-private partnership is critical. Cyber threat assessment has become inseparable from national security. Cyber activity rarely announces itself. It is detected through anomalies, unusual traffic, unexpected access, changes in behavior. Cyber intelligence focuses on capability and intent. Not every intrusion is hostile. Not every hostile act is immediately dangerous. Assessment requires restraint. Overreaction can cause more harm than the intrusion itself. Critical national infrastructure is a priority for threat assessment: energy, water, telecommunications, transport, digital services. Threats to these systems are assessed continuously. Most risks are managed quietly. Intervention often happens before disruption is visible. National security also includes influence and information risks, disinformation, interference, manipulation. These threats target trust rather than systems. Assessment focuses on intent, reach, and potential impact. Response emphasizes transparency and resilience rather than censorship. Military intelligence interacts with civilian systems but remains distinct. Its focus is external threats and defense planning. However, boundaries blur during crises. Coordination ensures consistent assessment. Oversight and accountability are integral. Parliamentary committees, judicial review, independent commissioners. These mechanisms review activity after the fact and shape future behavior. They are part of resilience. National security is not about preventing all harm, it is about prioritization. Resources are finite. Attention is finite. Assessment ensures focus remains where risk is greatest. This work is continuous. Threats evolve. Capabilities change. Technology shifts. The system adapts through learning. This volume has explained the foundations of intelligence and threat assessment in the UK. Further volumes expand into detailed case studies, decision pathways, crisis escalation, intelligence failures and corrections, and how national security systems adapt over decades rather than events. To understand how these abstract systems operate in practice, it is necessary to look at concrete case studies where intelligence and threat assessment shaped real outcomes. One of the most frequently misunderstood areas is terrorism prevention. In the UK, most terrorism cases never reach the stage of an attack. This is not because threats do not exist. It is because detection and intervention occur early. Consider a typical radicalization pathway. It rarely begins with violence. It begins with exposure to ideology, online content, or personal networks. Early indicators may include changes in behavior, association, or online activity. These indicators are often first noticed outside intelligence agencies, teachers, family members, community organizations, local police. Information is reported through safeguarding and policing channels. At this stage, the response is not punitive, it is preventative. Specialist teams assess vulnerability, intent, and support needs. Intelligence agencies may provide background context. The majority of cases are managed through intervention and disengagement. Only a small fraction escalate to criminal investigation. This layered approach prevents harm without criminalizing large numbers of people. Another instructive case study involves disrupted attack planning. In these cases, fragments of intelligence rarely arrive fully formed. One agency may observe suspicious travel, another may detect online communications, financial monitoring may reveal unusual transactions. Individually, these signals are ambiguous. Together they form a picture. Threat assessment teams combine these inputs. They test hypotheses. They challenge assumptions. They assess timelines. When risk crosses thresholds, action follows. Search warrants, arrests, asset freezes. These actions are legally authorized and reviewed. From the outside, outcomes appear sudden. In reality, they are the result of weeks or months of assessment. State-based threats provide a different case study. These threats often involve espionage, influence operations, or cyber activity. They unfold slowly. The goal is advantage, not spectacle. Detection relies on pattern recognition rather than incident response. Unusual access attempts. Targeting of specific sectors. Consistent narratives across platforms. Financial links. Travel patterns. No single indicator proves hostile intent. Assessment focuses on persistence, coordination, and strategic alignment. Responses are calibrated. Diplomatic engagement. Public attribution. Legal action. Regulatory intervention. In many cases, deterrence matters more than exposure. Cybersecurity incidents provide another deep case study. A sophisticated intrusion into a government supplier may not target data directly. It may aim to understand systems, dependencies, update mechanisms. Detection may occur through anomaly monitoring rather than alerts. An unexpected process. Unusual network traffic. Minor configuration changes. Threat assessment teams determine whether activity is criminal, exploratory, or state-linked. This distinction matters. Response options differ. Systems may be isolated, access revoked, partners warned, public disclosure may be delayed to protect investigation and remediation. The priority is limiting spread. Financial intelligence offers another example. Complex criminal and hostile networks rarely rely on a single transaction. They use layering, multiple accounts, jurisdictions, intermediaries. Detection occurs through pattern analysis across institutions. Banks flag anomalies. Reports are aggregated. Specialist units identify networks. Freezing assets can disrupt activity faster than arrests. This is why financial intelligence is so powerful. Border security provides a further case study. Risk assessment begins before travel. Passenger data is analyzed, travel history, document anomalies, associations. Most travelers pass automatically. A small number are flagged. Secondary checks may occur. Information is shared with law enforcement and intelligence partners. Decisions are made quickly but based on long preparation. Border intervention is often preventive rather than reactive. Intelligence failures are also part of the system. No assessment framework is perfect. History contains cases where threats were underestimated or misinterpreted. Post-incident reviews are conducted. Assumptions are examined. Biases identified. Processes adjusted. Failure does not end the system. It reshapes it. These case studies show that national security is not defined by single dramatic events. It is defined by continuous assessment, cautious decision-making, and proportional response. Most successes are invisible. When the system works, nothing happens. That absence of incident is the outcome of sustained effort over time. Further depth comes from examining how intelligence and threat assessment operate during periods of sustained international tension, rather than isolated incidents. One such case involves heightened geopolitical confrontation. During these periods, intelligence services monitor a broad range of indicators: military movements, diplomatic signaling, cyber probing, economic pressure, energy markets. No single signal indicates escalation. Assessment focuses on convergence. Are actions aligned? Are timelines compressing? Are red lines being tested? UK assessment processes deliberately separate information collection from judgment. Raw reporting is weighed against historical behaviour. Analysts ask whether activity represents preparation, signalling, or routine posture. This prevents mirror imaging and overreaction. Decisions during these periods often involve restraint, raising readiness quietly, protecting infrastructure, engaging allies, avoiding public escalation. Most of this work remains invisible. Another important case study involves long-term counter-espionage. Espionage activity is rarely dramatic. It involves access, persistence, patience. Detection may take years. A foreign intelligence service may target academia, industry, or government contractors. Indicators include repeated contact attempts, funding offers, conference invitations, or collaborative research proposals. Individually, these activities appear legitimate. Assessment focuses on patterns across organizations: who is being targeted, what information is being sought, how approaches evolve, responses are measured, briefings, protective security advice, visa decisions, legal action when thresholds are crossed. Public exposure is rare. Deterrence operates through denial rather than spectacle. Another deep case study concerns insider risk. Not all threats come from outside. Insider threats involve authorized individuals misusing access. Detection relies on behavioral monitoring rather than surveillance of beliefs. Unusual access patterns, attempts to bypass controls, changes in work habits, financial stress indicators. Assessment teams consider context, stress, coercion, ideology. Intervention often involves support rather than punishment. Only a small number of cases escalate. This approach protects organizations while preserving trust. Critical infrastructure protection provides another lens. Consider threats to energy infrastructure during periods of international tension. Intelligence assessment looks at physical sabotage, cyber intrusion, supply chain disruption, and influence operations. Operators increase monitoring. Access controls tighten. Maintenance windows are reviewed. Government coordination ensures consistent posture. Public reassurance is managed carefully. Overstating risk can be as damaging as ignoring it. Another case study involves hostile financial activity. State and criminal actors may seek to influence markets, acquire sensitive assets, or launder funds. Detection involves regulators, banks, and intelligence working together. Patterns of ownership, unusual acquisition behavior, complex corporate structures. Intervention may involve regulatory blocks, sanctions, or legislative change. These actions are slow and legalistic by design. They prioritize durability over speed. Information operations provide a further example. These operations aim to shape perception rather than cause immediate harm. Assessment focuses on reach, coordination, and amplification rather than individual messages. Responses prioritize transparency and public resilience. Direct censorship is avoided. Long-term trust matters more than short-term control. Crisis escalation offers another deep case. When incidents accumulate, assessment shifts from individual threats to systemic risk. Intelligence teams monitor whether multiple events are connected. Isolated cyber incidents, economic disruption, diplomatic pressure. Assessment asks whether these represent coincidence or coordination. This judgment shapes national posture. Escalation decisions are collective. They involve political leadership informed by intelligence but constrained by law and alliances. Finally, intelligence systems are tested by technological change, artificial intelligence, automation, data volume. Assessment processes adapt cautiously. Technology assists analysis but does not replace judgment. Oversight adapts alongside capability. These additional case studies reinforce a central reality. National security is not a sequence of dramatic moments. It is an ongoing process of assessment, calibration, and restraint. It values continuity over reaction. It succeeds most when it is least visible.